There's a lot of feedback I've received from different people questioning uh, what my what I'm trying to accomplish or what my message is, and especially since we're getting really, really close to the times of Mashiach, and he's probably living amongst us now. Many of the tzaddikim have already, at least some have claimed that have met him. The question is as follows: who qualifies to be Mashiach? And so, first of all, I have to preface my words because there are some people that take what I have said and put it into a certain perspective. And I need to clarify that we're coming from the source, the Torah, and from the. I mean, if I just show you, this is not that I don't claim to be a scholar. I don't claim to be a know-it-all. I've just dedicated my life to studying and disseminating Torah, not only from the actual five books of Moses, but from the rest of Tanakh and the Mishnah and the Talmud and some of the other mystical writings as well. Now, this doesn't make me the ultimate authority. I am uh, many people who I still continue to glean understanding and words of Torah from. And I have to also preface that this medium is not something that I feel comfortable with. I had asked questions of my halachic authority years back whether I'm allowed to use this medium at all, and I was given the affirmative. But one must be cautious. I therefore do not like to spend time on this medium, and I must apologize and ask forgiveness for people if I do not respond, because this is not necessarily the purpose of my posting these words of wisdom that I'm trying to share. I'm trying to inform our fellow Jewish brethren of the Torah perspective of what we're going through, try to get people excited to be motivated to make the changes that we're supposed to be making in order to merit that ultimate redemption. Now, for people amongst of you who might not be from the Jewish persuasion, I'm not here to persuade you. Each person from your religion, keep to your religion. We are not here to proselytize. We do not want to convince anybody to do anything and to give up their faith. We're just taking it from the Torah perspective, from the traditional unbroken chain of Jewish tradition that has gone from the times of Moses all the way till our generation. And this is something that we need to remember, that I'm not here to convince anybody of who is Mashiach, and that is not my goal. I will say, though, that I just wanted to clarify the Torah perspective. And nearly 1,000 years ago was one of the greatest scholars of the time, and his name was Rabbi Moses, the son of Maimon, otherwise known as the Rambam in the Torah realm, or Maimonides in the scholarly realm. And the Rambam was one of the first codifiers of Jewish law, probably the first one. He took the Talmud and he gleaned through many of the other Torah authorities who were people who dedicated their entire life to understanding and disseminating Torah. And he wrote something called the Mishnah Torah. There's many volumes, depending on which printing you got. It was originally written in Arabic, subsequently translated back into Hebrew by scholars in his generation, or shortly after them, his son, many different people. I don't know the exact um, uh, transmission of how it got to exactly the way we have it now, but it is authoritative, and Rambam explains very simply about who is Mashiach, and not in giving a name. We don't need to have codes in the Bible codes. We do not need to have any specific miracles. That is not the way we approach defining who Mashiach is. As a matter of fact, the Talmud itself expresses that at the time when Rabbi Akiva was around, he actually followed somebody who was known as Bar Kokhba or Bar Koziva, um, and it ended up that he was not the Mashiach. But people were very excited and were hoping that he was the one that was going to redeem them. And this is talking about nearly 2,000 years ago. And Rambam explains, he says that do not think that the Mashiach has to perform wonders and miracles and doesn't have to renew anything. But there are stages. In other words, why would we ever have to look at somebody who claims to be Mashiach as being Mashiach? There's absolutely no necessity to look at anybody who makes a claim as being divinely inspired as he may be, but that doesn't mean anything to us. In Judaism, we do not ask anybody to take the word of anybody as being that he spoke to God. Very nice, maybe that's true, but God does not expect that of anybody. And therefore, that is why us Orthodox Jewish people or traditional Jewish people can never accept any of the uh, subsequent people who claimed to be prophets because they had no validity in the eyes of Torah. And hence, somebody who is known to people as Jesus, or they pronounce with a J at the beginning, he is not considered anybody who has any divine inspiration in Jewish writings. As a matter of fact, he was known as a student of Rabbi Yeshua ben Parchia, and he was ostracized, and he went and did things on his own. So he's not considered. He was a student. He was apparently scholarly at a certain point in time. He must have been very charismatic, and you know what? We have no problems believing that he could have done miracles because miracles is not a prerequisite to being a prophet, and it's definitely not a prerequisite to being Mashiach. So it doesn't bother us. There have been many, many holy people and many people that are not so holy that were able to do miraculous things. If you look, I don't want to insult anybody by comparing different people to different situations, but the Torah itself records the episode of Bilam, who was able to do lots of mystical and magical things. He had communication with his donkey. It doesn't give us any necessity to accept him as having any credence because he is not a prophet and did not fulfill the laws of prophecy to be somebody that we have any necessity to follow. Number one. Number two, therefore, anybody else throughout the generations, the Jewish people's faith in Torah is based on a national revelation. And subsequent to that national revelation, nobody has to accept an individual who claims to have an individual revelation. I don't think there's any really large organized religion in the world that started with any group of a significant group size of a group of people that had a national revelation, and because that claim is just patently absurd. All right, so that's part one.